Brian. I'll make this fast so we can just get on with it. If you visit voidsignal.net, you can find a link to the Void Signal Patreon and sign up for as little as $2 per month and help support the creation of more Void Signal. In exchange, you'll also get access to the Void Signal Moments series, which is a weekly podcast series, the Void Signal Strangers series, and Void Signal Strangers Trivia, and the Return of the Movie Club. So thank you for your consideration. I appreciate it. And I don't know. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for listening. And be sure and push all my social media buttons. They're free, and they help a lot. Thanks so much. I hope you are well, and let's get on with it. See you soon.
Basically, this is just a recorded interview to be played later.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all good. 1 second, I kind of fucked up. I need to. My phone battery's a little low, so let me get my little charger that I can lay it down on real quick, and then I'll be okay.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Where are you located?
I am in Reno for the moment. But maybe relocating to Sacramento in the near future here. But yeah, Reno.
All right.
Reno, Nevada.
How long have you been? Yeah, how long have you been there?
I've been in Reno not quite 20 years, like maybe 16 years, something like that. I moved out here from the East Coast and from Florida and really fell in love with it, like the West Coast vibe and like just, the West Coast.
Yeah, for sure.
Left. So you're in Chicago right now, is that right?
No, I'm in Austin, Texas.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I grew up in South Texas, so I've always been hanging out in Austin by way of San Antonio, and then I did also live in Tampa for a good period of time, and I've spent extensive periods of time in Chicago, like up to 6 months at a time at different times in my life, and. But yeah, so about Reno, we were trying to land a gig there, but haven't quite been able to crack that yet. Yeah. But we'd like to play. You involved in any show activity there, or know any promoters?
No, I wish I could say that I do. No. The one promoter that I know here, sort of, nobody knows me well enough to have any pull in that kind of a thing.
Right. Understood.
Yeah, I would love to, but that's just not a thing that I've never taken the time to sort of invest my expertise in learning that aspect of it, I guess.
Yeah, so, sure. Well, yeah, it's definitely a whole its own can of worms for sure. So
yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to be a decent podcaster, and I don't even know. I don't even know that I'm doing that. So I better not try and like add in too many other things I got to try and learn.
Yes, very good. Well, cool. Well, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad to have you on. The one part of the reason that and we are recording, we just start.
Okay.
But one of the things that I did want to say after I got you on, and part of the reason that I ended up reaching out to you is that I met you at Mechanismus last year, caught part of your set, and was like, this is I knew who you were, like I knew you by your reputation and like your work, but I'd never sort of seen the solo representation, the Curse Mackey by himself kind of a thing.
Sure.
So after seeing it, I was like, well, this would be a great fit for Void Signal. But time got away from me. And then I saw like the videos. I mean, you were all over my social media for this recent tour with Sign and Ice Cream Machine.
Yes, the Electric Exorcism tour.
Yes. I felt very remiss for missing the tour. Like the photos, the videos, everything looked fantastic. It looked like such a great industrial tour, and I was like, "Why did I miss this?" So first off, sorry I did, because it looked great. But secondly, I'm excited to have you on for that reason, because we need people going out and doing exciting industrial tours. Like I feel like that's what we need right now. But
excellent. Thanks for recognizing that. And also we didn't quite make it out to your geographical location yet. But I do know that, in March, early April.
Mhm.
Yeah, early April. Maybe it might be April 1st or something like that. Is Sign and I Speak Machine along with Bestial Mouths will be in San Francisco, and I'll be along with them. Not performing, but I'll be there.
Gotcha.
And so if you're in San Francisco by then,
Yeah.
come
For
hang
sure.
out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise,
I'll probably be in Sacramento by then, so I can easily make that. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
That would be wonderful. I'll make up for missing at least most of it, but not all of it.
Right on.
So I have been listening to your discography in the run up to this. I guess the thing I wanted to ask is that what is, you've got this tour kind of behind you now. What is the next step for Curse Mackey?
Right. Well, it's an ongoing, unfolding story. I kind of think right now at the end of the year, coming off of the tour, which the Electric Exorcism tour that you were referencing, that was pretty insane. And industrial touring, as you put it, is it's fun, but we drove a lot. I mean, this year I covered like 47 shows in 37 different cities. So I was able to hit a couple of cities 2 or 3 times. And we probably and that also includes hitting Canada. And we drove like almost 15,000 miles this year. Oh, wow. So it kind of like kicks your ass a little bit by the time this last the Electric Exorcism tour. That one was a bit grueling. Maybe just in terms of its length, like maybe it could have been a little bit shorter, but we just hit a lot of places and we kept getting more places, more cities as we kept networking, like that we were able to establish almost sort of last minute ish shows in like Louisville, Kentucky with Art Sanctuary. And down there, we found so we've really made some wonderful connections that will help that planted seeds for that shall blossom in the spring of 2024. Once my next wave, I'll start playing again in late January, play New Year's Eve in Austin, and then play like January 27th in Atlanta, which we did not hit on the Electric Exorcism tour. So it's just ongoing. And then along with that, what's next continues to just be the ongoing pursuit of trying to stay creative, make art and make music. So I definitely am pushing myself to I'm really excited to discover what the next wave of music will be to follow up.
Gotcha.
The Immoral Emporium album, which is kind of like, this one will be kind of the third of that solo trilogy, if you will. So, so there's much to be told.
Gotcha. Okay. So not slowing down anytime soon from the sound of it.
No, I think things are ramping up, and having had that 2-year gap of COVID related shutdown where everything just stopped. I feel like I was feeling like I was like 18 months behind in life most of this year because of, especially with the Clan of Zymox tour that I did earlier this year that I was direct support on. That tour took place in June of 2023, but it was originally scheduled for November of 2021.
Oh, wow.
And had been moved to off of the initial postponement all the way from November of 2021 to November of 2022. It's like, okay, well, we'll just weather the storm still, because it was just still turbulent times when that decision was made and it was understood. But then, like only 3 weeks before the November 2022 tour was supposed to happen, Zymox's immigration was still, the work visas were not yet approved, and it was uncertain as to when it would be done, and flights needed to be bought or not bought. And so an executive decision was made to postpone again all the way until June of 2023.
Right.
So that aspect could be taken care of. And so that's the like ripple effect of like COVID and the way it still affects I'm not the only artist that, like obviously Zymox experienced the exact same thing, and a Cloud of Ravens. We all went through that shared experience. But my point is that was 18 months of delay before. And then so all my tour time was waiting time. Right. And so, I wrote music and stuff, but in terms of like getting out there and like pushing to just play the show and play the music and talk to people and be out there, like what we desire to do is what I would say industrial touring artists, we want to work and we want to play and put on the show. That's what it's all about. And so when that's withheld, there's a lot of time to make up for. So that's what I was just talking with my booking agency, Rocky Road Touring, Jody and Andrew, kind of like assessing next year. And I just said, I just feel like there's still so much ground to make up, places that I still haven't hit. So this last tour, like say, for example, Detroit, which has always been an incredible market for me, realized, man, I haven't been here in almost 4 years because of all that. So, that's all good stuff though. I mean, the opportunities are there.
Yeah, I mean, it is all good stuff. I'm just maybe it's interesting to hear that even after finishing up such a huge, laborious tour from the sound of it, that you're still like, oh, I missed it so much, or I still need it so desperately, that you're willing to like immediately like, let's get back out there and get it.
Yeah, as long as it makes sense and the shows are going to be like, as long as everything is going to be good, then it's worth doing. And there's time to do the show. Like it kind of ramps up. Like the first quarter of 2024 will be mostly doing more like one-off weekends. And then there's some stuff. When is this chat we're having right now going to become public?
Probably in like a week or two, something like that.
Okay. So, but it's, like this summer, I'll be out with Clan of Zymox again. Like that's your scoop.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Of the day. Yeah. So there's some of that going on, and there's a lot of things, I guess, manifesting and brewing and slowly falling into place, and things that, that talks that I have with my friends about how can we tour together some, but also maintaining the creative aspect and writing new material is also, that's what I'm working on right now. That's why December is almost always so awesome, because now having done the tour, there's a lot of energy that has translated into getting some new music worked on. That's pretty much what I've been working on this week. It's just getting some new songs, vibing, kind of figuring out how I feel for to where that sound goes. So it's good. It's good times.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least a lot of the other musicians that I've spoken to usually have indicated to me that like returning from being out on the road tends to give them a lot of ideas about their sound or what they want to do next. Is that kind of the state you find yourself in? Is like, okay, I want to bring these ideas into the studio because of my experience in like the live arena.
I think that when you go into the live mode, you then are energized and then exhausted at the same time. So you kind of get this cosmic stretch in your mind and your existence in the world. But also doing this tour, especially this one, and going to so many fun places that we just got a really good understanding of kind of where the industrial scene or the dark wave scene in America is at, what clubs are cool, just like Fallout in Richmond, Virginia just comes to mind immediately as a night that was so fun, and a club that's just kind of been sticking with it and carrying the flag of just always being supportive of like the outsider art music, industrial, dark wave, gothy scenes that kind of all overlap. That it was nice to see that there are some places that are really sticking to it and seeing it kind of some new markets grow. So all that plays into, getting back to what you're saying, it paints my perspective a little bit more clearly in my own mind about how I look at the world through the storyteller lens as a songwriter, if that makes sense. So like, cause each instant exorcism was like this crazy fucking dystopian, supernatural, like voyeuristic kind of like, film noir thing.
Right.
And then, but it was like maybe a little bit more like Minority Report goes supernatural. But then Immoral Emporium was all of a sudden like, wow, which came out after the pandemic. So it came out in September of 2022, like a little over a year ago. That was sort of like all of a sudden, like my own self-realization, like, wow, all that shit from the last record and all my life of reading science fiction and crazy stuff. Like, I feel like it's really kind of caught up to us. Like, we don't quite have flying cars, but essentially conceptually we do in a way. Like, sure. We've sort of reached that point in the timeline of humanity. And so it was like kind of like stranger in a strange land, like how fit into this landscape. And I ended the last record kind of on a cliffhanger note, if you will. Immoral Emporium with the songs Omens and Monuments, where I wrote it from the perspective that in first person, that I was essentially already dead, and I was watching like reports of my own death on the television while asking myself about all of humanity, like how did we get here? And other people that I knew were also watching themselves in that same strange situation. Right. So it's kind of like Orwellian, I don't know, 1984 stuff. So yeah, I mean, I have quite a quagmire to work my way through to come up with something cool, but it'll always have cool beats and a really nice, dark, intense, but engaging and warm atmosphere. I'm the stuff that the new sounds that I'm making already, like I'm pretty stoked on. So now I'm in the phase of, I'm sure by this weekend, I'll start putting down vocals for a few new tracks and get it going, because I want to have this stuff, something new out in the summer.
Yeah. Nice. That's exciting to hear. I'm always happy that industrial musicians are not hanging it up. I feel like that is a much higher risk these days than previously.
I think that all genres, and certainly like I grew up as a very big industrial music fan, and I went through, and I have my vinyl collection is good. I have like Throbbing Gristle and Current 93 and Nurse with Wound and Neubauten, and a lot of that very more esoteric, noise-based Psychic TV, of course, that whole coil, that like esoteric kind of noise-based English art industrial, like the foundational of the whole thing. And then I definitely got into what I would call the American industrial dance scene too, of course. That's where I started DJing in San Antonio and Austin, was sort of at the breakout of bands like Thrill Kill Cult and Ministry's Fine Phase with like Twitch and Land of Rape and Honey and Skinny Puppy. All that stuff was getting club play when I was DJing, and that was very KMFDM was breaking out, like all Frontline, Front 242. That whole scene was super strong and created a scene in America, industrial music. And so they're kind of two different worlds. I think industrial music maybe got a little homogenized after the first wave of popularity, after like with bands like Ministry, Skinny Puppy, and like to an effect Thrill Kill Cult, and a couple others were like super influential on so many young dudes that wanted to make synth-based rock and roll and just do it. But it got kind of started, and then it also got homogenized, or not really homogenized, but maybe bands like Gravity Kills and I don't know, stabbing westward perchance at the time,
Yeah.
like that it got almost like the major
Right.
labels were like, ooh, if we can saturate this down a little bit more, we can get even more poppier than Nine Inch Nails, but still
Right.
retain this kind of vibe of industrial.
Sure.
So that's where, and then you had a lot of people just doing too many Ogre, Al Jorgensen sound effect vocals that were just unintelligible without any charisma, and the shit just started sounding the same. And I think, and then at a time like digital or CD sales died, and that whole scene kind of just faded away for a while. But there's certainly been an ongoing love of dark music.
Right. And that kind of brings me to, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that was a kind of a thing I wanted to it reminded me, I wanted to ask you about is that, so something that you mentioned is that you finished this tour and you said that you've sort of seen the current state of the industrial goth, dark, whatever scene you want to call it. And so I am interested to hear your thoughts about like what you think, not success. I mean, nobody in this scene is like swimming in success or anything, but like what does thriving in this scene kind of look like based upon your experiences on this tour? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I think that industrious artists can be successful and can make a living within this genre of music if they're somewhat tenacious and willing to. Well, I'll say Twin Tribes is a great example of a band, and also Actors is real strong in this way that they got out there and they just kind of like just grinded it out. Like if you see how many shows Twin Tribes played, probably between 2020 and now, in this scene, they probably are way up there in terms of like, I know how many times they went out. They're friends of ours, and I think that they really grew. And that's like, okay, there's one case study that worked, and Actors, and a number of other bands are able to get by. I think Empathy Test and Priest is who I was coming across the most with while we were on our tour. Like we seemed to all be days apart, and kind of talking with the promoters about how those shows went, and sharing some of the same experiences and challenges and successes. And, but I think all of the three of us were doing real good at the same time. And then, my point with that is that I believe there's room to grow, but you have to go out there and do it. Like even, sometimes it's like, man, well, this is going to be a Monday night in Charlotte. Who knows how that's going to go? But we have to get from Tampa to Baltimore to, in Richmond anyway. And so you just network it. Our booking agency, of course, knows, has the right suggestions initially, and then just go for it. But we got to go play. And then sometimes those shows end up like, we probably had like 100 people on that Monday night in Charlotte in November that we didn't expect. So we made great. We got paid well enough, sold good merch. So if you can repeat that and have that model grow each time while not completely wrecking yourself physically, and then having time to manage all the other stuff from merch inventory to creating all of it and planning it all and booking it and kind of figuring out how to finance the stuff. Yeah. Because sometimes there's a lot, we had almost some near snafus with the vehicle that we rented, that could have cost us $2,000 in a minute with a cancellation that almost happened, but didn't, from the people that we were getting the van from. So crazy shit like that goes down. Or if we have, we had one show canceled that was like, whatever, like $1,500, let's just say, on this tour. So then it's like, well, fuck. You just plan for that. That's why you almost have to book, like, if you're going to go out for 21 days, you might as well book 20 shows, because 2 or 3 of them may fall through anyway. And you don't want to be off too long. You got to play like 5 or 6 nights a week, because every day off costs basically the same as playing. That's the fucking balance of it that makes it kind of hard, and where it can kick your ass a little bit.
I mean,
but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to me to see, and that's the other thing too, is that like the other adding component to this whole thing is that you are doing all the heavy lifting for all of this, and that's true of a lot of artists in the scene right now because record labels aren't really a thing that they used to be. So I mean, everybody's kind of like, oh, I'm doing my own merch and I'm doing my own this and my own that, so it's like so much is involved.
It is. Like we on the Electric Exorcism tour, we were 3 bands in one van.
Yeah.
And that worked out great.
Yeah.
Because we were able to condense that inevitable expense, unless you happen to own the vehicle that you're always touring in. But otherwise, if you're just little spot runs, sometimes it's better just to rent. So we were able to cut that cost into thirds, which really helped a lot. So there's smart ways to go about it, and there's things that you can do to incentivize advanced participation from your fan base and get them involved. And then it becomes fun and something that people are looking forward to. And that's ultimately what we're here for, is to have that best night of the week in whatever city we're at and have a good time and be safe and enjoy it and share in that revelry and just hanging out and having fun.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully showing everybody a good time and kind of building everyone up. Yeah. So, I mean, it's doable.
Yeah. It looked like you were accomplishing that based on the videos and everything I saw. So I've definitely learned my lesson and will not miss a Curse Mackey sign I Speak Machine tour or show in the future.
Excellent.
Yeah. It looked like such a blast, and I'm glad that you are out there doing it. Not just you, but everybody else on the tour as well. Is that like, that are out still touring and making an industrial scene for people, I guess.
Yeah, I think that everybody's really receptive right now. To me, I think that the dark wave is certainly happening. Like there's a renewed interest in some of the nostalgia acts, I guess I would say, like some with like festivals like Darker Waves that are popping up, and Sick New World bringing our older bands, but also newer bands, and it's an interesting time, and but it's good because I see that there's growing interest in the music that I've always made. So for me, it's like, cool, this is a great space to be in because it seems to be just growing. And if you make good art and do treat people good, hopefully then that interest comes back,
right?
And things can grow, because basically, I just want to keep making records and playing shows until it's no longer physically possible. And I assume the music will just get weirder and weirder over time.
Right. I mean, you'll have your hardcore fans at that point, your hardcore 20 that are still like turning out for your weird noise shows and stuff. So it'll be fine.
I'm hoping it's going to be more than that. But and then by the time I'm to my late 90s, because I'm going to live to be 100 years old,
of course,
prime. It's like very ambient, minimal, probably like a John Cage kind of life of strange, minimal piano, ambient with a dark spin.
Right.
Always is probably going to be where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little more orchestral,
right?
Perhaps.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing you when you're, when they're having to wheel you onto the stage, and
that'll be the performance art aspect of it, of course.
Right.
So that's good. I like that.
Yeah, that'll be good. Actually, we're setting this whole thing up now. Like they roll you out on like a hospital bed, like you're already fucking dying and shit, and then like, oh, you get up and play.
Yeah, that way all the tubes and everything are all going. Yeah, super. I can see that.
Yeah. Super industrial. What a brilliant idea this is.
Thank you. I look forward to calling you in 30. Let's see. It's going to be a long time from now.
Okay.
One day you're going to get a call like in 50 years or something going, hey,
remember that
idea?
Yeah. About me Going on tour while being nearly dead. Let's do it.
I need you. Yes, exactly. All right. That's very good.
Wonderful.
Anything else you wanted to chat about?
Yeah. Nothing else really as far as music goes, but one question I did want to put to you before I put the last question of the podcast to you is just that for who is Curse Mackey? Like when you are not touring, when you're not making the music, who are you and what are you doing? Like I know that you're like also do a lot of like visual arts and like you have like a whole bunch of other stuff that you do, and you're obviously a full complex human being. So I'm just sort of, what else do you do? Who else is Curse Mackey? What are the other components that make you up?
That's a very nice question. I think that I'm always trying to be in a learning phase, and then I'm in the part where you always feel like you have to be working. I've tried to figure out how to not like just be cruel to myself and be happy with the work that I make. Continue to like have fun doing it. Try to figure it out as a business. That's kind of an ongoing thing. But otherwise, on an ideal day, if I get to hang out with my lovely gal Rona, who also happens to be the founder of Sign, and our dog, and I can read. I love, like, if I can just read all day and maybe noodle around on the scent and try to learn something and hang out outside some, maybe watch a movie. Those are all like some of my just favorite things that I like to do and want to do. And then also if I can get into a phase where I get busy, like working on collages in my art pieces that I make and take on tour, like that's a fun little getaway when things are getting way too digital, is to work on something that involves an X-Acto knife and paper. Right. And otherwise, I've been working on some long form writing as well, in forms of a book.
Oh, okay.
That I spent a lot of time working on in 2023 that I need to transition into a finished piece in 2024. So that's a big goal for me.
Do you mind if I ask if it's fiction or nonfiction?
It's nonfiction.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So sort of autobiographical, or just a particular subject? I don't mean to intrude or, anything. I just am curious.
No. Yeah, absolutely. It's essentially, it's like a bit of a personal handbook for myself, along with other musicians who would like to have or are currently pursuing a lifelong pursuit of being able to make music sustainably for the rest of their lives. Meaning that somehow, through all the navigations of the hellscape that we have been presented with to do what we want to do, all extraneous circumstances as well as personal demons, like how the fuck do you navigate all that to like still be tomorrow morning? That one of the main things I do is the focus of my day, me, Curse Mackey, is that no matter how I feel, that Ableton will be opened up, there will be a synthesizer on, a notebook out with words being written or something advancing my pursuit of music as a career and passion. So it's a bit self-help, a bit philosophy, a bit business, I guess, quite honestly. Like if you just broke it down in terms of like an Amazon fucking bookstore.
Sure.
But full of anecdotes from the road too. So case studies. So
yeah,
there's certainly, there's no, and this is just me this is from my own personal research and my personal experience, boiled down into like hopefully very digestible segments. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool. I'm interested. I would love to see more people in our scene as writers, honestly. Like we have gifted writers in the scene. who just don't produce a lot of like long form stuff. So yeah, that sounds wonderful. I'm excited to like keep me posted on that. I would be ecstatic
Thanks.
to read such a thing.
Okay, I'll be happy to share it with you because I want people to read it.
Yeah, for sure. And I am. I'm not as voracious of a reader as I used to be. That's for sure. But I still fancy myself somebody who, I'll read the right thing if it catches my attention enough, I guess, is like.
Do you prefer fiction or nonfiction, or both? It's okay.
Both are okay. Like I went to school to learn how to write fiction. But I ended up kind of really excelling at writing nonfiction, being persuasive.
All right.
So yeah, I have an appreciation for both. That's for sure. Just not as, not as voracious of a reader as I used to be. It sounds like you are, though. It sounds like you try to read as much as you can.
Pretty much my daily ritual now. Mm-hmm. I wake up, make coffee, or if I can time it to where it's already made when I wake up, that's ideal. Mm-hmm. And then pretty much just throw on the dark ambient classic minimalistic classical music I was referencing. Have my coffee, write. I write in a journal every morning. That's the first physical act beyond the coffee that I pretty much do. Mm-hmm. And then from there I shift to reading. If I can I'd like to get in like 30 minutes to an hour is ideal.
Right.
And that's usually more like on a nonfiction tip early in the day. It's kind of hard to dive into like a strange fictional book at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
To do. Certainly any form of nonfiction has been good for me, or even some poetry is pretty good, especially if I know I got to start writing.
Right.
So that's a bit of a primer.
Gotcha.
And like go for a walk out here in our woods in Tarantula, Texas, where we've got a lot of nature around us, which is kind of cool. But Austin, the city's very close. No,
those are good answers. Good things good Curse Mackey things.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I do want to ask you the last question of the podcast, which is what I always ask, which is, what is something that you're enjoying right now? And your answer can be anything. It can be a book or a TV series or a movie, or just what is something that like recently in your memory stands out as you were jazzed about it when you got up.
Oh man. Well, one thing for sure is, I've been I bought where did I get this? It's called The Little Avant-Garde, and it's a piano method for preschoolers.
Okay.
And it's this book, like an old book. Mm-hmm. And it's written like in just this most interesting way of like trying to teach 4 to 5-year-olds how to play piano by not really learning notes and chords, but it's kind of like more avant-garde, really. Basically, yeah. It's just like, so I'm kind of like trying to go back to the beginning a bit.
Okay.
Because when I was a kid, about that age, my mom asked me if I wanted to take piano lessons, and I think I was just like, no. And she's like, okay, and that was all that was said of it. And then I was wishing that she had said yes.
Right.
You must. So I found this book. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to try to go pretend, because it's been quite some time since I was 4 years old, what it might be like to be presented with playing piano in such a way. So that's one strange tangent I'm on. And then I'm also really enjoying, there's a cool book, and it fit for an industrial music fans. I highly recommend it, called England's Hidden Reverse, The Secret History of the Esoteric Underground by David Keenan. And essentially, it tells the story of how the bands Coil, Current 93, and Nurse with Wound are interwoven in the history and the formation of the genre known as industrial music.
Right.
Because obviously there's close association with Genesis Peerage and Throbbing Gristle in this book too. So it's like super interesting. but it's long, and then there's all types of interesting, like religious and esoteric and occult art references and literate references of what those guys were all vibing on at the time. So it's kind of cool because I've been wanting to stretch my imagination in terms of the music that I'm making, to where I'm not always trying to make like an electronic song for the club. That right. I'm also willing to take more chances on doing more out there stuff. So
that's fun.
It's all good. It's been an interesting year. It's been an interesting 3 years. So I'm optimistic for the future, but our world is so bizarre right now, and where things are going. It's like there's a unknown, but all you can do is just keep doing your life, focus on what's around you. Like the world is going to explode in one way or another every time it gets the chance. It's a big fucking world, but taking care of what's around you is the most important part, and just being good and living a good life. That's all we can try to do. The challenges are going to come. You just got to navigate it and react in a good way, no matter what happens.
Agreed.
Anyway.
And no, that's a cool thing to be excited about. Like, so do you, have you found that the book has like sort of made you think about the way you play, significantly differently?
I think that it will. Well, what it did is that it took me back to my initial fascination when I was discovering like some of that early Current 93 and Nurse with Wound and the early Coil records. Like that stuff was kind of like edgy, noisy, scary. It definitely had like this like very dark, devilish, like Cathedral of Doom vibes, and
for sure,
like nightmare music.
Very much,
which I found very fascinating. Digging into Skinny Puppy early, and they were obviously a very horror infused performance art band. Yeah. So, and I was at my peak of Clive Barker and Aleister Crowley interest and things like that. So it was kind of fun to just read about all the shit they went through in their creative processes to make records that I'm pretty familiar with. So I'm a huge fan of music related biographies and autobiographies. Gotcha. That's definitely on my reading list all the time. So this was a pretty cool one.
Gotcha. Okay. That's cool. I will check that out. So I always answer the question myself. Something that I've been enjoying recently, and I'm going to try and pick something that is not what I've constantly been picking, which is like the last like few interviews I've done. I'm like, oh, I'm loving the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game or whatever.
Yeah.
So let me try and think of something else. I finally something I've been enjoying recently. Later this week, I commissioned an artist. I paid an artist to design me a new logo. My logo has always just been whatever I can make with my feeble art skills, but I encourage people like try, like make what you can, you will get better. But I finally did break down and pay an actual artist, someone with actual talent, to make me a new logo. I'm putting that out Friday. I'm so excited for people to see
a new void signal logo.
Yeah, new void signal logo. Yeah.
All right. Very nice.
I'm excited about that. And she, the artist that I hired to do it is, I'm going to put out, I had her on the show, just to talk about, where'd you come from as an artist and stuff. So I'm excited to like put the episode out and like, unveil the logo and be like, let people see it and stuff. And, I'm excited about that. That's been a good thing for me lately, but, yeah.
I look forward to seeing it. Otherwise, we've been enjoying the latest season of Hell's Kitchen, because that's probably my main other evening time passion, is just cooking good food.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there like, what is like
learning how to,
I was going to say, what's the Curse Mackey special? Like, what's the best thing you can make?
Well, I would probably say my salmon and chicken thighs are both pretty amazing.
Okay.
But, I think lately we've just been making quality food at home. It's become a passion for Rona and I, and it's been really fun. And that was probably because we had time at home to do it a while back. And I bought a grill called a Pit Boss. It's a wood pellet grill. So it's basically everything's like wood fired now. So I pretty much put anything, corn, Brussels sprouts. God, we were just making so many delicious things just by using, a wood fired heat source versus the indoor oven. It just, just takes everything to the next level. It's pretty fun. So, and then our view's nice because we have stars because we don't have a lot of city lights here. So,
right. Yeah. No, that's cool though. I agree. Like I'm not a cook. I will not pretend to be a cook, but I do, there is something really fun and enjoyable about like cooking a meal at your own home. Like, and just, it comes out how you want it to most of the time.
Yeah. It's certainly like a good counterbalance to it's pretty much like Rona's working on sign all the time and I'm working on stuff. Also trying to hopefully get it. We'll have hoping for some more pig face activity next year and just a lot of planning. And so we're constantly, it's like you're just on all the time because it's just what you do. So it's nice to have something that's a forced diversion, which is cooking and which is a good thing to do for yourself anyway, just because it's nice to be somewhat healthy. I think it saves a little money. Mm-hmm. And you get better food and more time.
And it feels good to do it, to like, I made this thing for myself and I got to eat food that I made that was good. Like it has a lot of satisfaction that comes with it. So for sure. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too much. That is it. Thank you so much for your time and for coming on Void Signal. I look forward to running into you again soon in the future.
Absolutely.
So
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Fun chat. So
yeah, thank you. Have a good rest of your evening and I will let you know when this goes out.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Take care.
Okay. Good night.
Void Signal intro and outro music courtesy Processor. Visit processor2.bandcamp.com for more Processor and visit voidsignal.net to help support the creation of more Void Signal. Thank you.